Let me tell you a story about something that happened to me once. I lived in Chicago at the time, in this tiny ass apartment in Wrigleyville, because my boyfriend dumped me. But whatever, don't worry about that. Don't worry about him. Never give him another thought. Um, and then, yeah, so I lived there and I worked a job that was very hard. Let's just say that. It was physically and mentally difficult. Um, and then what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I'm telling you a story. So I was off on Saturdays, which sounds weird, but I was off on this Saturday, and I remember I was sitting on my bed, talking to my mom on the phone, and I don't know what I had in my hands, but I always call it was a sheaf of papers, and I somehow moved them like over, like I picked them up and moved them, and one of the corners of the paper caught my eye, and then I was like, oh, this feels terrible, but I'm sure it'll get better. Like when you know, accidentally get salt in your eye, or when you like something happens to your eye and then you just have to lie down and close it for a while and then it gets better. I was like, this will be fine. It was a Saturday night and I was like, it'll be fine. And then the next day, I realized this is still not fine. This is miserable. I can't open it. I can't close it. I can't do anything. I can't see. I can't live. I am miserable. There is nothing I can do. I remember I took the dogs on a walk and was just like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I just had to just walk around like this. Hello. And then later in the day, I remember my upstairs neighbor, who I'm pretty sure is the same one who called to like complain about the noise I made closing the door coming in, which doesn't even make sense because I didn't even come in late ever, so whatever. Terrible neighbor came down and said, hey, I'm going to be playing a very loud, like a ritualistic meditation drum for the next couple of hours. Just wanted to let you know. And I was like, I opened the door like this was all red and swollen and just tears just dripping. And then I answered the door like, what? And she says this thing about the drum and I'm like, great. Sounds good. And yeah, I remember spending the rest of the day in torture. I went to urgent care the next day. I didn't have any health insurance. I don't know how doctors work. That's what it was like in your 20s, in the 2000s, before Obamacare. Hey, shout out Obamacare. Yeah, so I went to urgent care and they were like, yeah, that seems kind of messed up. You need to go to an eye doctor. And I was like, I'm not going to an eye doctor. And I remember the doctor was like, you need to go to an eye doctor. And I was like, just give me some ointment or something. I'm not going to an eye doctor. He was like, I won't charge you for this appointment if you go to an eye doctor. And I was like, okay, I'll go to an eye doctor. But can you give me the ointment anyway? And so, yeah, he did. And he did end up charging me. I mean, whatever. It's fine. I never went to the eye doctor. And so, yeah, so I had to go to work the next day. And I worked at a chocolate company. Won't tell you which one unless you really want to know, and then I will. And I went to the store, and I remember I was trying to help the manager, I was the assistant manager. I was trying to help the manager count some inventory, and she was up on a ladder, and she was like, oh my God, like, oh, I think some dust got in my eye. Ugh. And I was like, but was it like a paper cut on your eyeball? And she was like, no. And I was like, then shut up. It eventually kind of healed. For years afterwards, if I got too tired, like where my eyes had been open too long, you could still feel it. So that's how I got a paper cut on my eyeball. Thanks, friends, for listening to my story.